everyone, welcome to episode 5 of Pony Problems with Paige. If you would like to take part in the next episode, I'll leave all the details of how to become part of it in the description box below, so go and read that. And let's jump right into it. Rosie Miller asks, what do you do if your horse refuses to go near a corner? I personally, with my experience, I feel like if a horse refuses to go at a corner and you just keep trying to head them for it, it doesn't really work out too well. So what I like to do is I think I spoke about this in a few episodes back in regards to, oh no I didn't, I think I actually spoke about this in my How I Deal with Spooky Horses video. However, I like to go to a spot where the horse is nice and confident that is near the corner, and I like to just trot, usually, preferably, and just like spiral out and gradually get back to that corner, but very slowly and gradually. And eventually, if they're doing it out of fear, then usually you spiraling them out and doing it quite slowly gives them a time to comprehend, oh hey, there's nothing dangerous here. And particularly with spirals, and if you do figures of 8, at least their mind is on something else, not on the corner solely. So that's kind of my advice for you. But yeah, just a big point, if they're refusing to go near the corner, beating them up over it, if it's out of fear, if they're just being naughty, that's different, but if it's out of fear, beating them up over it isn't going to help. You need to gradually get them to that point where they feel like they're comfortable and they're not going to be scared of going to this corner. There's nothing to fear. Noah Briggs asks, how can I feel more controlled on a bigger horse? I have this problem because I feel like when you ride the same horse all the time and then you get maybe put up or down a size, you can feel slightly out of control. In regards to riding bigger horses, I feel that it's important that you use the right muscles. A while back I had a bit of a session where I rode a bigger horse than I would normally ride, who was strong and powerful for me, and I feel like when riding a bigger horse, the best way to feel control is to really lock on your core and to use your core effectively. Also as well, I feel with any horse, if you want to feel more control, stick your heels down. I feel like that just anchors you in the saddle. I know that's a very obvious thing and you should already have your heels down, but make a big point of it when you're on a bigger horse, because whenever I feel out of control, sticking my heels down always helps. But yeah, really lock onto your core and try and really use that to be a method of slowing the horse down and of speeding the horse up, if that makes sense. But a lot of your body as well, because personally, like I know this girl who sent me this message and she's like me, you know, we're both very short, so I feel like it's important that we really learn to use our body effectively and move it effectively, so we're not always yanking on the reins to control them. Caitlin XOXXOX asks, I've just got a new pony and whenever I go to put on her saddle on, she puffs her stomach out so that the girth feels very tight. Then when I get on her, I realise that it's very loose, but as soon as I try to tighten it again, she puffs her stomach out again, so I can't do it up. How do you teach her not to do that? In my experience, I have dealt with many horses who like to do this. Winston likes to do this as well. But what I like to do is, usually, you know how when you do up the girth quite tight, how you get like those pinch rolls? When I'm on any horse, I like to pull out their front leg and stretch out their front leg, just to like, so literally if I'm a horse, I look dead. If I'm a horse, right, I just want you to keep your frame. If I'm a horse, I literally just pick up their leg, like from behind their leg, and I pull them forward so they stretch out like this, and that will stretch all the skin where the girth is, and that gets rid of the pinches. In regards to when your horse is wanting to puff out so that it feels tight, all I can say is, personally, I don't really think you can teach a horse not to do that. If I was a horse, that's probably something I would do. Get someone to stretch out their leg and then do up the girth at the same time. That will make it a bit harder for them to puff out. But honestly, if you know that it's going to be very loose, first thing I can say, if you know it's going to be very loose, if you're riding the same pony, you should be able to tell when it gets to a certain number of holes whether that's correct or whether she's puffing out. And just keep trying until you get it up. But if you can scratch them while you're doing up their girth, that can kind of, if you get a spot they really like, they'll kind of relax a little bit while you're scratching them and then do up the girth at the same time. That's something I use with Winston too. Connie Pop asks, I often ride a really lazy horse who refuses to canter fast, so when we go up to a jump, he just stops. Is there any way to wake up a really lazy horse? I feel that horses are lazy, either because they're just purely lazy and it's just in their genes to be lazy, or because they're bored of doing the same thing over and over and over again. So what I would recommend is just before you go and do this jumping with this horse, do some fun stuff, you know. I have had experience with riding super lazy horses, and when I want to get them excited and pumped up, I do lots of, you know, quick turns everywhere, some figure of eights, something different. I might go canter them in a spot I normally wouldn't canter them in, take them to an area they haven't normally been in, and that kind of just perks them up and they get a bit excited, and usually they start traveling faster. Change it up a bit, and usually once they've changed it up, they'll become a bit more enthusiastic and they'll want to do the work for you. That definitely works with Winston. Spirit Canon asks tips on going along with the horse's canter, not bouncing up and down, if that makes sense. Thank you. So, personally I think if you're riding the same horse, it's much easier to learn how to not bounce up and down, but when you're riding a bunch of different horses with a bunch of different strides, it can become a lot more difficult. But when I went to my eventing camp, I was actually quite sick for the first 2 days, and I remember I had to canter, and there's literally videos, there's a photo of me cantering with no stirrups, and my butt is like this far out of the saddle, because I felt so sick. I just could not, I wasn't using my body effectively to canter, and some of those photos are hilarious, so yeah. But what I like to do is if you really relax your thigh and just relax your thigh and relax your hips, then usually you tend to go a little bit more. And also if you just count out loud or count in your head, but just count the rhythm. And if you just keep counting, usually your body tends to get into the rhythm of the canter. I did mention this, I think, in my first episode, but this was a very strange method. But if you want to learn how to sit to your canter better, then go on a bike, go down heaps of bumps and bumps on your bike without the pedals on, like just with your legs off, and try to stay as central as you can. That exercise helped me a ton too. But yeah, I think just try and relax and sink deep, because and try not to overthink it, because I felt on that day when I was very sick, when I was overthinking it a lot on how I was cantering, it wasn't working. You just need to relax your thighs, you just need to relax your hips, and you need to sit really deep, and usually that tends to help. So thank you all for watching this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed already, please come join our family. Yeah, we have a lot of fun over here. Give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Bye!